Welcome back to the Compressor Guru. You may be wondering what I'm doing with this on. Well, it's really loud in there talking that loud, so I'm going to tell you without that on. Today we have to do a little bit of welding in our episode. What we're going to do today is make two types of compressor tools. You being a competent mechanic have torque wrenches, all your sockets, all your ratchets, regular open-end combination wrenches, maybe ratcheting combination wrenches. We sell those. By the way, another thing we sell are welding hoods. In case you don't realize it, the Compressor Guru has over 200 different lines of hand and power tools available. You can contact me through thecompressorguru.com. Anyway, this welding hood I bought for myself, and unfortunately it's been discontinued, but I love the American theme and that wonderful Screaming Eagle. My dad was a Screaming Eagle, 101st Airborne, may God bless him. So anyway, today we're going to make a couple different types of tools that I'm 99.99% sure you don't have in your box, and if you're going to be working on Quincy air compressors, you're probably going to be better off if you have them, and I'm going to show you how to make them. In different episodes, you've seen me take exhaust valves and put bolts in the vise and hold them till I got them tightened up, put them in the vise, and then I'd do all the exhaust valves, and then I'd reassemble them before I did the intake valves, because quite frankly, I only have one vise. Well, we're going to simplify this whole process and make a tool that you can take on the road with you if you have to do a service call. So I had one of these tools years ago, and I didn't do as well as I could have building it, and I broke it. So we're going to make a new one, and we're going to make a new one that not only fits this valve, but fits this valve. So this valve is obviously a different diameter, and if we make one that will fit this valve, it obviously won't line up to fit this valve. So we're going to make two of these, but it's the same type tool. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to make a little spanner tool. Now this is already made up because I had it made up and I had a piece like this in it, and I JB welded it in instead of welding it in, and I lost it. So what I'm going to have to do is we're going to show you what this is, we're going to show you how it works, and we're going to make another one. Actually, we're going to make two, but we're not going to show the second one on camera because I don't have an old socket I can ruin yet. Let's start with this. The first thing we need to do is find a 1/2-inch drive socket that and the fire alarm isn't here. The first thing we have to do is find a 1/2-inch socket that will fit down inside of the unloader screw for the intake. And this one just fits, it fits very nicely. And previously I've already cut it out with a bandsaw, and then I broke it out and filed it down with a file to make it have a nice neat fit. Like that. So that one's essentially made, but I'm going to make another one with this size, and see, that doesn't fit in there very good. Now you might say, why do you need two? Well, because on these adjustment screws, if you've got an old one like change a record 2 through maybe 15, you're going to find that this slot is only 1/4 inch wide. When they made the slot wider, it actually helped in the ease of removing them, because I've broken a lot of 1/4 inch key stock, because I've made these out of key stock before, and these get so tight in that cast iron, key stock will bend, key stock will break. Let me tell you what this stuff is. This is a cutting tool for a machine shop, and it is ever so sharp, and it is hard and I never broke the one I had. And I had it for, I'm going to say I used it for probably close to 20 years until the JB weld broke and it fell out of here and I lost this part. So we're going to weld that in today. I can't film the welding on camera because it just would screw the camera up. By the way, I said a prayer a little while ago praying that that camera continues to work all day long today, because we have had tons of problems with cameras, and I am actually shopping for an upgrade to our camera equipment. So prayers are covered. Anyway, so when this is all welded together, it'll fit together like that, go down in there, and you put a 1/2 inch ratchet in there and just wind it out. However, this piece of cutting material is way too long for that, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to grind one end off, because when the bolts are in here, and that's the wrong size bolt, but when the bolts are in here, if you got it too long, you can't get it past the bolt. So we're going to give you a length to have your key stock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the material you're going to need in our description today. So you're going to need a 1/2 inch drive socket. You need a piece of cutting. I should ask Ted Patterson. By the way, Ted Patterson was kind enough to give me a great price on these two cutters. And Ted owns Patterson Drive Shaft in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania. If you're in central Pennsylvania and you have a big truck, that's where you want to go to get your drive shaft repaired, replaced, whatever. He has a good old machine shop, a couple of incredible old school machinists, and they know what they're doing. Anyway, Ted gave me a great deal on this. By the way, I'll just give Ted one more plug. This is 7/8, perfectly square, and this is a drive shaft for a power takeoff on a big truck. So when you see a dump truck and they pull the lever and the bed starts going up on like a triaxle, there's a shaft going from the PTO to a hydraulic pump, and this is what the shaft's made out of. Fortunately, he had a couple of old pieces laying around, and he cut me a couple pieces off. Ted Patterson is an awesome guy, and if you ever get a chance to do some business with him, do it. If you ever want to stop and talk to him, he'll love to tell you about Jesus too. Great guy. I will do it off camera so as not to bore you, but this will be 1 7/8 inches long when it's done.
Okay.
That'll fit very nicely from there to where it will be about the same place on the other side, and I'll center it up in this tool. So now I'm going to go grind that off. I am going to weld this in, and I'll be back to show you the finished product. Then we'll make the other tool that is vitally important in working on Quincy compressor valves. I got a better file than this. Everybody needs a hobby. Welding isn't mine. So when I was tacking it, I tacked it on the end, but I got a little bit going out here, and now it won't fit down in. Oh, it's almost there. It won't fit down in. So this is my new hobby. And I'm almost there. But so that's how to make a socket. I'll finish that off camera. That's how to make a socket to take out your unloader screws. It's actually listed as the unloader valve adjustment. And that's how to make a socket for it. So you cannibalize a good socket or an old socket, cut it, put your key stock in it, or in this case, cutter from a machine shop, and weld it together and don't get your weld in there. I think if I would have started with a smaller socket, left a little more out here, I could have welded around the outside and not had to be doing this filing. So I'm going to finish that filing off camera, but that's how to do it. And I know you guys are smart enough, because a lot of you call me on the phone, you email me, you have questions, and you have good questions. I really think I have some of the best mechanics in my audience. So we're going to move on. I'll finish that later. This will become a tool to take this apart. Actually, this is a press together one, but I actually have the makings, and that's tight. This is a perfect time to try it. So this is a shoulder bolt, and it goes down into the valve itself. So this is a spacer that holds it apart. So you see, I can't get that apart by hand. In all likelihood, I couldn't get it apart with if I held this and turned this with a wrench. So what we're going to do, we're going to drill this here and here, and we're going to measure this distance to that distance, so that these bolts will end up in the corners, and then we're going to push them up through the holes we drill, and we're going to tack them on the bottom side. We're not going to weld them solid. We're just going to put a little tack on it, because these bolts do break. Now, I went and bought grade 8 bolts for this, and these are 5/16 grade 8. And when they're drilled through, they're going to stick up that much, just the right amount, to put our valve on and break it loose. So I'm going to the drill press. No. I'm not just going to drill it. I'm going to take my antique caliper. I have a new caliper here somewhere. I can't find it right now. And we're going to set our distance. I'm doing this so the camera can see, and I can't. Boy, that looks like 2 inches. So 2 inches is going to get us there on that. Now, we have the exact same situation with this one. And this is a valve for a 240, a 325, the smaller compressors, and it looks like it will be. So I will put all these dimensions in the description. So, by the way, this valve is for a 350, 370, 390, 5120. In the QR series, there's only a couple different valves used, and these cover 95% of all the QR series valves you'll need this part for. These are discharge or exhaust valves, and we're going to make one of each. And this is the other type of valve we're making today. So I'm heading for the drill press. I'll be back once I have this drilled. I don't think you want to see me just run a drill press, do you? Okay, good. Thanks. Not that I'm not confident in my ability to read a measure or read a rule and make a measurement, but it's always better. Oh, look at that. That's just the way it's supposed to fit. Before I weld these in, I wanted to make sure they were going to fit. I also thought about threading these holes with a 5/16 tap. And what I realized is very often we will bang these threads really bad, and occasionally they break. They break when they're in the vise, just a bolt. So that way, if I break a bolt, I can just nick the weld, slide it out, and put another one in, put a weld on it. What am I doing, camera wife?
Thinking ahead.
Oh wow, that's a great idea. What is thinking ahead?
The illusion of intelligence is simply thinking ahead.
Hey, And that's why I decided to check it before I welded it. I'll be back with a welded finished product. So we're back. Now my dad, who's been gone 20 years and was cremated, is probably spinning wherever he's laying at right now, even being cremated, because of how bad his boy did welding. I can weld better than that, but I haven't actually picked up a welder in 3 years, maybe more. So you can leave the negative comment. Don't cuss or swear, but you can leave the negative comment. I realize that's pretty sloppy, but this side's perfect. Those are 2 inches apart, center to center. They fit the bottom of the valve just perfect. And it's very easy just to set that in the vise now, drop your valve on it, and turn it loose. Friends, this is the Compressor Guru. I'm not going to put together the 1.5-inch one for these. It's the same process. You take some square stock, drill 2 holes, put your grade 8 bolts through, get your measurement right there. It's the same process for the little wrench for your unloader screw. Your dimensions are all going to be in the description. A lot of you guys are rebuilding your 325s, and if you go and make one of these tools and one of these tools, you're going to save yourself a lot of trouble. These are not always that easy to get apart, because if you can't hold this bottom piece anyway, you can't get the bolt that goes in here loose very easy. So this is the solution. This is a solution. Today it's about tools and solutions. We didn't teach you anything about fixing your air compressor, and I'm sorry for that.
But you use these tools to do it.
That's right. I'm not sorry about that, because you're going to need these tools to work on your compressor. Whether it's a 350, 325, anything smaller, anything bigger. If it's a QR model Quincy, these tools are your answer. Thank you. This is the Compressor Guru. Have a great day. Hit like, subscribe, all those YouTubey things. God bless you. Well, everybody needs a hobby. Bye. You can tune out. Bye.